And still drilling down on the September inflation data, we see the contributions of items on divisional level to the increase in headline index includes housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuel at about 4.47% year-on-year and 0.35% month-on-month. The surge in inflation is primarily attributed to the removal of petrol subsidies and the evaluation of the official exchange rate. Join us now for this conversation is Mr. Jide Pratt, COO, Iona Nigeria, and Country Pilot Manager, Trade Grid. Joining me right here in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Ladi.
Yeah, so, we'll have that data. Inflation was expected. It was going to go up. Some even projected it would get to about 28%. But, we're where we are, right now. And definitely it is energy costs is... the whole issue about subsidy, being removed, and we've been having to buy fuel at the pumps for incredible amounts I didn't expect I would ever, see. So talk to me, how can we solve this energy problem in the short term?
It's tough, Ladi. There are triggers to every petroleum product we buy. There's a war going on, Russia, Ukraine. There's the Israel situation, which nobody's sure how it's going to blow out. But the question is that if it blows out and gets to Iran, Syria, then it means that one thing is clear: prices are going to go up. How do we solve it in the immediate? There are hedging techniques for trading. You decide that I want to take a cargo for a delivery 45 to 90 days ahead, and I want to take that price in now. So you hedge. But is that the total solution? I'm not so sure it is, because the factors that trigger those prices are extingent. You can't control the war, you don't know when it's going to end, and all those put pressure on the price of petroleum product. The sad part is that when we look at it in terms of how can we try to drive it down, one major thing we need to do is find how we're going to refine our petroleum product. The president and his team need to solve that problem, because...
But we've also heard that even though we refine, that doesn't mean prices at the pumps are going to go down.
I'm not so sure that's correct. Prices will go down because the first thing is this: the cost of freight will reduce. There's no rocket science to that. So how marginally it reduces is a different thing. So, you hedge, the freight costs go down a bit, and then the turnaround time. So it means that if I'm going to FOB Mediterranean to bring in a cargo and it's taking me 14 days, if I'm going to the Dangote refinery in Akpe, it's basically taking me a 2 to 3 days journey. So I do believe that the freight costs will go down. The refinery efficiency of a brand new refinery will also aid to that. I think those two things might be the quickest wins. LPG is something I also think that we're not looking at enough. For CNG is methane. So what it is that it's pressurized. You're trying to build infrastructure, which will not be short term. But LPG is the lowest hanging fruit. Electric vehicles are also the lowest hanging fruit. So I think those are quick wins that we need to be focusing on now.
Right now, and, definitely we expected, pain. Was definitely expected that, taking away subsidy would bring some pain. But although we've had that argument that, subsidy was reduced and all of that, but at this time, would you say the direction the government is going right now can bring some kind of short-term relief?
It's yes and no. The policy is right. Some are not, in my personal opinion. But you see, it's also putting all our eggs in one basket to solve one problem. So look at it this way. If we say subsidy is gone, and you're right, we could not afford subsidy as a country. There's no two ways about that. But government expenditure, has it gone down? I'm not so sure it has. The size of the cabinet, the kind of amount we're spending is as if we're 100% in an okay or surplus situation. We hit 1.7 million barrels for the first time, if you add condensate, in God knows how long. The question is that, how do we sustain that? How do we get to 1.8 this month? How do we get to 1.8 next month? And then 1.8 in December, because OPEC quota, I believe, goes down in January to about 1.34. So it means that the more we bring out from the ground in terms of exploration, the more revenue the country has. But it's also having more revenue and actually spending it, and let me use the word, judiciously. I think those are the things that we need to look at the immediate.
Because sometimes I think in my head, you know, an oil-producing, you know, nation should have, you know, some kind of advantages, you know, when it comes to, you know, the products, you know, gotten from oil. But it seems to be we're not gaining those benefits. It's more like you're an oil-purchasing nation. Why are we still here?
Okay, so I mean, the first thing that we've touched on, we had no refining capacity for so long. I think that changes when the Dangote refinery comes on stream. Because what that does immediately is that we become a net exporter. A capacity refinery of 650,000 barrels per day means that we feed ourselves in terms of distillate. But sub-Saharan